you've seen both play. You said King Clymo was at the top. He was the best player in the world. And, JohnE McCray, the best player in the world. At their peak, at their best in a tournament, where they're at their best, who wins?
Vibe nowadays at tournaments is definitely a little different than it used to be, 10, 15 years ago too. That jerking motion of that right there, because that's like an electric shock to your whole system, and that's not what you want. It's like you see some amateurs where they're just using their arm and they're not following through. So if you're not using your whole body, you can't transfer what your legs are doing up to your upper body. So it's all in timing and getting everything timed up properly. And that's how you incorporate using your whole body to throw the disc and get maximum disc. Hello, John McCray here with Team Latitude 64, and you're listening to Chain Clankers podcast.
What is up, everybody? Happy New Year's. Welcome to 2022. Thanks for checking back in, starting the year off, listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. We really appreciate it for you guys, listening and coming back. Another great year. We're very excited for everything coming up. So much stuff going on during this off season, contracts, discs, so much really, really fun stuff. We're excited to be a part of it. And, with that, we have another great episode, a really fun one, a lot of good energy in this one. I'm very excited to bring this one to you guys. But, Quentin's going to tell you guys what you can expect.
Yeah, man, we are on an absolute roll right now with the interviews. We got JohnE McCray on the show today. My man has been playing disc golf longer than I've been alive. And let me tell you what, this guy has got so much info to share with you and so much that can be taken away from this episode. He talks about how even at, an older age, approaching 50, he's still able to go out on the pro tour and compete at a high level. And something that we all want to do as disc golfers is compete at a high level or a higher level than we're doing right now. And if you want to play for fun, that's a-okay, but it's fun to be good at disc golf for sure. So in this episode, I believe that you are going to get a little bit better for sure. We talk a lot about being an athlete in disc golf, and that's not, doing a push-up every single hole or going on a 10-mile run or anything like that, but just being athletic in your throws and allowing yourself to be almost like a baseball pitcher and how your form can be perfected in a way that allows you to let the disc do what it's supposed to do and you aren't forcing it to do anything, stay healthier, those kinds of things. We also talk a lot about Johnny's career. He's been playing for 27 years is what he's going into, and he's got so much to teach us. I really do think that, you're going to be able to learn how he got started. The guy had 50 wins within 3 years of disc golf. My man was in the pro division 9 months after starting. You're going to learn how he did that, how you can take parts of his game and improve your own game. So I definitely think this is going to be a really fun episode. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe, follow button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because you can do it on both now. That 5-star rating is very highly appreciated. Let us know, what is your goal in disc golf for 2022? We want to know. Let us know over on Instagram at Chain Clankers, and we are going to do our best to try to help you achieve that goal, whether it's keeping you accountable or maybe we'll have an episode about that topic. So let us know over there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's bring on JohnE McCray. All righty, everyone, let's welcome on a true legend in the disc golf world, JohnE McCray. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing? Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Anytime disc golfer wants to come on and chat with us, we love it. Tell us and the listeners, where are you out of?
I am in Zephyrhills, Florida. Just actually about a month and a half ago, closed on our forever home. So pretty excited about that.
Nice. That's awesome. Congratulations on doing that. That's really exciting.
Thank you very much.
So Florida, how long is that kind of been typical for you to go to Florida during the off season? Are you from Florida? What does Florida mean to you?
Florida is home. Sometimes I tell people we'll be in Jacksonville and I'll be like, this is my home course. And they look at me a little strange because I'm going to live 4 hours from there. And then we'll be in Miami and I'll say the same thing. I live 4 hours from there. But yeah, I consider Florida my home, and so I come here every off season.
Yeah, I feel like for a disc golfer, there's probably no better place to live or be headquartered out of than Florida.
I 100% agree with that.
What do we got to do to get the pro tour to come down to Florida? I feel like Florida has such good disc golf and disc golf courses, but they just don't go down there.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I guess they are coming down here to start the 2023 season in November of 2022 is the start of the Pro Tour actually for 2023, and they will be in Jacksonville at the New World Sports Complex. So that's kind of exciting for us Floridians. And yeah, I would like to get it down and more into Florida. I think that we have a good chance that we could have a Pro Tour style course in Lakeland already, and I'd like to get a couple more. I feel like that's what we're lacking here in Florida is a little bit more of the championship style course, which we're getting there. We got some good designers in Florida, and it's getting there, so we're getting better.
And so I guess explain a little bit what you mean by championship style of a course.
I mean, like par fours and par fives, not just par. A lot of courses in Florida are actually par 54. So it's you need to progress past that to get. I feel like to get the Pro Tour here. There's not too many Pro Tour events where it's a par 54 course.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like every single year they try to make it a little bit tougher at every course that they go to. I can't think of the one that I like Blackwood's Gold or something like that. One of them that they called last year, they said, oh, this is the hardest course on the planet or something like that. So yeah, definitely getting more difficult disc golf is important to bring the Pro Tour down there. So that's very exciting. Florida is definitely, I think if I could choose, because I feel like most disc golfers either go to like Texas, Florida, or Arizona during the off season. I think I'd probably rather go with Florida as well myself. There's so many other disc golfers down there in Florida, I feel this year. Is that pretty typical, or is it just something different this year?
I'd say it's definitely been got more and more players coming down here during the winter. Started off, 10 ago, nobody came down here for the winter. Nobody went anywhere for the winter, for that matter. But now it's I think there's at least 5 touring players in Florida. I think so. It's pretty exciting, and it's good for Florida. We get a lot of people get to see some of the younger players. A lot of younger players are here too. You got Casey White up in Jacksonville, and then you got Ezra, and he's in town, and Connor O'Reilly's in town, and we got Gavin down in St. Bradenton, St. Pete. So yeah, it's getting more and more the younger pros are coming down to Florida. I can't blame them. It's really beautiful here. It gets for a Floridian, it gets a little cold in the morning, so you'll see us wearing our long sleeve shirts, but we're taking those off at 10 o'clock. So it's plenty warm through the day. So great place.
Yeah, I was gonna say here on Saturday it's gonna be low of 5, so I'm sure we're excited. Yeah, glad you guys down there in Florida are enjoying it. They are Calvin and Garrett Gerthy are from Florida, right? They're Floridians.
Yeah. Yep. Calvin lives about 45 minutes from me. It's pretty much straight west out there near Clearwater area. And Garrett's in Gainesville actually now he's in Eustis, which is probably only about an hour and 20 minutes from me now. So, but he's from Gainesville.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we got to get those guys on Latitude 64 as well. That would really make Florida a powerhouse.
I'll tell you what, Garrett was on the team at one point, and get Garrett on a team or Calvin. Yeah, those are some great players and some super great young gentlemen. I tell you, those are good guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's kind of go back all the way to when you first picked up a disc. What was that moment like for you when you first found disc golf?
It was pretty exciting. My oldest brother, Bruce, he's one who taught me about disc golf, and he moved down here from Massachusetts, and he gave me my first couple golf discs, and we actually went out to Clearwater to play our first course and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And I just like manipulating being able to throw the disc and being able to get the disc to fly like you wanted to. I thought that was pretty neat. It felt like I was doing something. I played soccer most of my life until I got into disc golf, but so I was very athletic and competitive. But so playing in the tournaments, I played a tournament. I hadn't even been playing in a month, and I played my first tournament. And I played an intermediate back then. It was in '95, the end of '95. They didn't have but intermediate and advanced in pro. There was no any other amateur division. And so I didn't know. I'd only been playing a month, and they said at the players meeting that morning, they were like, intermediates play the short pads. I was like, what? So I did. That was the last time I ever played intermediate. And then I played amateur advanced for 8 months. Went to the Am Worlds at the end of it, and took 14th place, tied for 14th month. About 8 months into playing, so I felt like that was pretty good. And I've always been taught, you want to be the best, you want to get better. You play with better players, you play with older players. So I started playing pro right away. Pretty much 8 months in, I started playing pro, and it took me, maybe 6 tournaments, and I won my first pro tournament. So I was driven. I'm probably driven more than a lot of people are. You might not see it, but it's true.
I mean, I believe that. I mean, I feel like anything that's like an individual sport, you don't have you don't have those teammates pushing you on, or you don't have a coach. You really don't have anyone pushing you on to be better, to practice, to compete. So I feel like most people that are, in disc golf are very self-motivated, very like self-driven.
Right.
Did you enjoy that about disc golf compared to like soccer?
I actually did. It was soccer. It's more of a team sport, but you still have a lot of individual skill and all that. And I actually played defense when I played college soccer and stuff. So I wasn't, I was more of a defensive player. They more than an offensive player. But disc golf, it was pretty neat because you're practicing on yourself and stuff. And when I first started playing, there was no disc golf course in the county that I lived in. So I had to drive like 45 minutes to over where Calvin lives to play any disc golf course. So it was, during a work day after coming home doing ceramic tile, there was no going to the disc golf course through rush hour traffic, So I played the weekends. I was a weekend warrior for the first probably 8 years playing.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So something that I'm interested to know more of, and we get a lot of guys who come on here, baseball backgrounds, and it seems like baseball really does translate to disc golf, at least to a certain extent. Did you notice any kind of transfer from playing soccer? Did that help you in your disc golf career at all?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel that's why I can use my body properly. And if you looked at me, I'm just an average looking dude, I'm only 5'8", 180 pounds, not doesn't look like I've ever worked out in my life, but it's all about using your body properly, like a pitcher on the mound. So, and I've through playing soccer, you learn to use your body to kick the ball and stuff, get more power. And it's pretty much the same way of throwing a disc, transferring all the weight all the way through your body like a whip is the way to do it, So.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I played soccer for all the high school and stuff, and most people wouldn't think, but yeah, there's that explosiveness, and hitting the ball correctly takes a lot of, that power from the lower body, which I feel like a lot of times in disc golf, we talk about the pull through and using your arms and all that, but I feel like a lot of it comes from the lower body. Can you explain a little bit more about how you're using the body to get that distance, get that power?
Yeah, it's fully on. That's like they always tell you timing, right? So that's what it's about, is getting that full momentum. If you would imagine a pitcher on the mound and he was coming all the way through with his body like that, like this was the pitcher, and he comes all the way through. If he just threw like this, like you see some amateurs where they're just using their arm and they're not following through. So if you're not using your whole body, you can't transfer what your legs are doing up to your upper body. So it's all in timing and getting everything timed up properly. And that's how you incorporate using your whole body to throw the disc and get maximum distance. There's guys that are, I'm putting myself in this group, so I don't feel like I'm putting anybody down, because what I'm going to say, there's guys that they're not the most strongest guys, like physically, like me. I don't feel like I'm the most strongest guy, especially if you put me up next to Ezra. He's a foot taller than me, but anyways, so guys like Eric McCabe, he's not the biggest, strongest guy. He doesn't like, he's going to win the weightlifting competition just like me, but we can throw the disc plenty far. We can get 500 feet, so it's all about using your body right. And Eric's the same way. Eric has a different background. I think he might have played some soccer. He also had an athletic background in a sport, but it's the same thing where he knew how to use his body properly. Another person who can throw the disc further than most people can is Will Schuster. He is, if you see him, he's not a muscular guy, but he has muscle when it comes to throwing a disc. And it's basically is using your body properly, like a pitcher would do, and coming all the way following is the most important thing you could do on every disc golf shot.
So let's talk a little bit about that follow through. What exactly does that look like? Does that look like off of your drive, your whole body is going forward in the direction of your shot? Just maybe talk me through, like, what should somebody who is brand new to the game, what should they feel in their body to follow through properly, I guess?
Following through basically is, I equate it to this, and it's involving the left side of your body. If you're a right-handed backhand work, you want to involve the left side of your body. Sounds weird because you're not actually going to throw the left side body, but you bring your left shoulder through it back to, like, you reach back like this, hand without your left hand on the disc, and then both hands come forward together and then through, just like a spring. Okay, this is a perfect example. My hand is a spring, and if you took that spring and you did the shot like this, right from dead still, it's not attached to nothing, not torqued, and you went like this, it's going to have a little bit of torque to it. But if you torque that back on the reach back, then the spring comes all the way through. That's using your whole body. And that's what you want to do, is get this to get to this, and not just go from here to there. And that's involving your hips, the reach back, and twisting with your hips as you reach back. So that's what you want to do to involve the full body. And then you want the left side of your body to follow all the way through. If you look at any magazine, watch any video, they're not the picture of Paul or Ricky or Simon or James Conrad or whoever it is. The picture is not a guy standing there in the end of the T-pad straight like this with the T-pad going that way. He's always finishing forward like this with his left leg finishing forward. So that's what you want to do, is get your whole body through, just like a pitcher on the mound, how the pitcher comes all the way through. He's not on the mound when he finishes. He's past it.
I think that's like one thing that was definitely a game changer for me as far as distance. We think or focus a lot, for a right-handed player, we focus a lot on that right hand, that right shoulder. But I feel like one thing that clicked for me was focusing on that left shoulder, turning it, and then as you're coming back, really like forcing it down. You see Paul Macbeth do it really well. He like brings it back kind of as fast as possible and pushes his arm down, almost like if he's punching the ground. He's using that torque like you're talking about. When he's pushing that left shoulder, he's torquing it back. And by doing that, he's causing that right shoulder to pop the opposite way. And I feel like that spring example is a great example. So I feel like people that want to get more distance definitely should start looking at that and trying to focus on that left shoulder and using that kind of like as a power lever, if you will.
Yeah, it's actually better for your body too. Everybody started the same way, where we were just using our arm. Everybody was sore through here your first time playing, your arm, your shoulder, your chest. But if you actually follow through and use your whole body, it takes all that inertia, instead of that jerking motion of stopping here, all that jerking right here, those sore muscles, following through with your whole body, you don't get sore like that anymore. So but everybody's got to go through with it to learn. It's definitely something that you want to get somebody stopping from that jerking motion of that right there, because that's like an electric shock to your whole system, and that's not what you want.
Yeah, and let's talk about that electric shock right there. If someone is almost, herky-jerky, or they're not really following through properly, or another good term that people say is they're muscling on the disc or trying to do too much, what are some things you can do to kind of calm that down and stop that?
It doesn't have to, like I said, it's all about following through and spinning on your on your heel or on the ball of your foot. Most people would say, and more controlled, your heel's underneath your base of your body. Your ball of your foot is not, your heel is. So it's easier for everybody to rotate on their heel, but a lot of slender, smaller people can get away with doing on their ball of their feet sometimes. But just spinning on that will help out tremendously, and that helps out and creates the inertia. Instead of that jerking motion, you're spinning it out through your heel instead of through your arm in that jerking motion.
Spinning on your heel is a lot better for you as opposed to your toes, because it's better for the long run. It's bad for your knees to play or to twist on your toes. Would you agree with that? Would you say that that's
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. That you're not going to hurt your knee bent on the ball of your. If you don't bend your knees, is when you're going to hurt your knee. You always have to play bent knees. I mean, imagine trying to play defense basketball against somebody with stiff knees. You know what I mean? That's not the way you do it. You bend your knees to get low, to move. It's an athletic motion. So yeah, you want bent knees always whenever you're doing anything athletic. So that's how you don't tear your meniscus. Yeah.
I think becoming more of an athlete in disc golf is important, and being able to have those bent knees, rotate the correct way. I think I agree with you, Horatio. I think it does allow you to be a little bit more healthier. And I think connecting that dot with the dot that you were talking about earlier in the follow through is really a lot of the drive itself. I think those are just some really good tips, and I think hopefully some people are going to be able to connect those two dots together. That you're playing disc golf, you might not be the biggest athlete in the world, but being an athlete on the tee pad, on the approach, on the putt, those kinds of things are really, really important. Great discussion so far, Johnny. Let's talk a little bit more about your career so far. So, you're telling me that you played in your first month, intermediate, rec, whatever it was, and then 8 months of advance, and then jumping up to pro. When you jumped up to pro, were you hanging with them boys, or were you struggling at the bottom?
No, actually, I was doing pretty well. I think the tournament I played in, I didn't. Pro tournament played in, I didn't. Second tournament I played in, I cashed. And third tournament I came in, I played in second place, and I beat Cox, who is Rebecca Cox's father. And he was like number player in Florida at the time, always finishing second to Kenny at the tournaments. And when I beat Dave, I was like, oh yeah, I am definitely a professional, because he was beating everybody all the time besides Kenny. That motivated me to even keep working harder and harder. And I did. And I think it was my second year, 90, might have been 97 or 98, when I actually beat Kenny in a tournament. And yeah, talk about exciting. That was some good stuff.
You said you were a weekend warrior. How I bet a lot of our listeners are also, probably weekend warriors. How would you say that, you were able to improve or get better at a quicker rate, or at the rate that you did, playing mostly just weekends?
Yeah, that's exactly how I did it, though. I was 45 minutes away from the nearest course. So when I came home from work, I didn't drive through rush hour traffic to go to the disc golf course. I went to a football field and practiced in a football field and practiced throwing discs work on my form and me. And instead of working on getting better at a certain golf course, I worked on getting better at throwing discs. And that helped out tremendously. Throwing out my foot has all the number distances for you, and I could see everything just increase week by week when I went out there, and it was amazing. When I first went out to the field, I started going out to the football field probably a week into playing, throwing my first golf disc. I was hooked. I was trying to stand underneath one field goal post and throw it through the other one. It took me probably a month and a half, and I was doing it.
Yeah, that is very impressive. That's so cool. So when, going out to the football field and putting that work in, is that kind of what you mean when you say you were working hard? Like earlier in the episode, you've kind of mentioned, that hard work that you're putting in. What specifically is that hard work? Is that something that others can replicate?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I try to be consistent. So when I went to the field, I learned right away early about a lot of things, trying to be more consistent, right? And I've always lived by this. And it's when I go to the field, I only take one disc, and I'm not just taking one disc. I take 10 discs of the same mold, and I try to duplicate shots. I throw all 10 shots the same exact way, same height, same release. I'll throw all 10 shots, 10-foot high anhysers, and then I'll do like an average, and I actually write it down. When I write something down, it sticks in my head. I never have to look at it again. But when I actually down, it sticks in my head, especially when it's something that I love, which I love disc golf. So I would write down the distance I was getting with that disc for an anhigh, 10-foot high, and then I would throw it 10-foot high hyzer shot with it, write down that distance. Then I would throw it high, trying to throw it dead straight. And then I would throw 20-foot high anhyzer, 20-foot high hyzer, 20-foot high straight shots, writing down all those distances. And I would do it 2-step run up and then a full run up, the two differences in the two shots, the distances. And so it helps me it helped me, and it will help everyone to master their discs rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. If you go out to a field with your whole bag and I'm going to throw my Fury and then my Villain, my Giant, my Defender, and then my Rive, that's kind of jack of all trades at that point, because you're not really practicing on anything, in my opinion. You should be more consistent and practice on being a master of your disc and practice with one disc at a time. So the next time I go out to the completely different discs, I take 10 of something different and I practice with that. And I do that with all the discs that I throw. And so that's how I try to master and I know what I can get out of them and what so that's how I do it. Great way to be consistent.
Okay. So, you were going out to the field, you were practicing, you're honing those skills. How long was that, before I guess sponsorships and stuff like that started coming in, before it got really serious for you? What was that time frame like?
Good question. I started in literally November of 95, played my first tournament in December of 95, and then started playing pro in 96. I got sponsored by Gateway in 1999. I was helping build Gateway from the beginning when they first started making discs. He made golf bags for 14 years before he made any golf discs. And then I met Dave, and he wanted to sponsor me, and I started throwing Gateway discs, and so that was 1999, a good while ago. I got picked up by Latitude in 2014 and 2015. They have been amazing. Latitude is the best company I've ever dealt with, and they do so much for me. I'm super proud to represent them and throw their plastic. They make great plastic anyway, so super easy.
So I guess something that's interesting to me is, getting that first sponsorship in 99. I mean, that is incredible, only a couple years into disc golf and being able to get picked up by a major company that fast. Would you say that changed the trajectory of your career? Do you think you would have a different disc golf career if you don't get picked up in 99?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when I got picked up, it was way different than the way nowadays. I mean, when I actually got picked up in 99, I had approaching 50 wins already. Yeah, it was I went stir crazy, and I think I won from 97 to 2013, 2014, 15 events a year. I had already won a bunch of pro events by the time Gateway picked me up. And I was actually a pretty loyal person, and I was very proud to throw Gateway. There was nobody hardly in Florida at all that really threw. Well, there was nobody through all Gateway for the most part, and except for me. And I took pride in, and I won 100 tournaments throwing only Gateway discs. So I know there's not another human that's ever done that. So I'm pretty proud of that too.
Just thinking about that time, when you got signed on, and kind of what we're seeing now with players and sponsors and contracts and stuff like that. What would you say are some of the differences, between back then and now?
It took a lot more back then to get sponsored by a company. You know what I mean? I got sponsored, pretty much 3 years into playing. And I was, I'd already had almost 50 pro wins. Nowadays, people with sponsorships on potential. So it's okay. I'm not upset about anything, but it's different and it's great. Disc golf is booming so big, and I love it's awesome. It's great. I'm loving every piece of it. So
yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about that. I wasn't going to bring it up this episode, but by golly, I'm doing it now. The cat is pretty much out of the bag about the two players who are coming to Dynamic Discs, which is in partnership with Latitude 64 and West Side Trilogy. It's not as of today, as of this recording, 12/30/2021. You guys will be listening to this in 2022. So we'll see you next year. Right. Insert dad joke there. But it's not confirmed yet, but I think everyone in the disc golf community is thinking that it's going to be Ricky Wysocki and Katrina Allen coming to Dynamic Discs on massive deals. Paul Macbeth got a massive deal last year. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, so I don't know the ins and outs, what's going on in Emporia. Exciting. I would love to have both of them part of the Trilogy family. I mean, they're both great players. So I wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah, I think it would be fantastic for Trilogy in the first place. I personally think they need this move to really just get that stranglehold on the disc golf community. But nonetheless, I think it's very important that there's transparency. And it sounds as though Dynamic Disc is going to be very transparent about these two deals. Have you seen, I mean, just being in disc golf for so long, the different kinds of deals for sponsorships? How important is it in your mind that we have guys like Ricky, like Paul, like Kat, like Paige, and all these other guys and gals who are getting these big time deals and being public about it? Do you think that's important for disc golf and the overall growth of the sport?
I think it is actually. I mean, it's news. It really is. I mean, Paul getting paid huge. You know, I saw something on Facebook or something, and somebody was put up something, and it was a guy saying he got $1 million. He gained $1 million, and that's a real thing. So that's huge for disc golf, huge for him especially, but huge for disc golf in general, because it happened, and it can. If it happened once, it can happen again. You know, it might not ever happen to me, probably, but it's great for disc golf, just growing, and so hopefully it happens for more people, and we can keep the sport growing to a bigger and better thing. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has done a job of building the professional side of disc golf. They should be proud of themselves because it's growing immensely.
Yeah, you know, I'm very excited to see these upcoming future contracts. You know, I don't want to, you know, get too much into that or guess or who's going where or whatnot, but I'm very excited to see, because, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, well, Paul McBeth got 10 million for 10 years or whatnot. And, you know, and maybe they try to negotiate their contracts, or, you know, people compare it to that contract. Not everyone's Paul McBeth. You know, I don't care if you're, you know, if you're a top player, even if, you know, you're Ricky Wysocki or Cal, you know, some of the other top players who are like competing and beating him. Paul McBeth is Paul McBeth. He's a trade, you know, he's like a big name in the sport. He has a lot of the growth in the sport has been because of Paul McBeth. You know, so I don't think it's fair to compare, you know, contracts, you know, to his, because I feel like one thing he was able to bring to the table is his sales. You know, I know so many people who buy discs just because it has Paul McBeth's name on it. You know, a lot of people are either buying signature discs or their favorite fans, but they're not buying discs like they are buying Paul McBeth discs. And I feel like that's an unfair comparison to say, you know, well, he got paid that much, and I feel like we've won this much on tour. So I'll be very interested to see what these other contracts look like. But, you know, that's just one thing that I've had on my mind as far as, you know, that 10 million for 10 years thing. I feel like that's going to be the standard for a while, until someone else is as big a name as Paul McBeth, if that makes sense.
I don't think that's going to be the standard at all. That's going to be the high point for sure. No, like I said, I don't think a lot of people are going to get that, but
yeah,
it happened once, so it could happen again. No doubt to that. There's no doubt to that. And like I said, it probably ain't going to be me, but it'll be somebody, and that's exciting. So it might be, you know, some new young player like Kevin Kiefer or something in 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. I think just overall the disc golf landscape right now is just so gosh darn exciting. Even go back 5 years prior to this, it's literally a completely different game than it was 5 years ago to today. What it could be in 5 more years. It's super, super duper exciting. But let's go ahead and let's keep moving on here. So getting into the pro sport, how did you get connected with Latitude 64? I'm interested, you know, being with Gateway so long, how did you get with Latitude?
It was actually through a good friend, and he was actually the team manager of Latitude, and he asked me about throwing Latitude plastic. I was actually very loyal, and I threw Gateway for 15 years through 2014, and they were talking real stuff to me. So there's a difference between sponsorships, right? Just like he was saying, you know what I mean? And the sponsorship that Latitude was giving me was a huge difference. And that's what drew me to them. And I mean, as soon as I started throwing their plastic, I had really never thrown such great plastic. So it was a no-brainer.
it's a career. Like it's something, it's if you want to continue doing it, you have to go with the better contract, the one that's going to take care of you, the one that's going to keep you on the road, the one that's going to keep you being able to do it, go to the tournaments and stuff. So there's no, without loyalty aside, I feel like it's you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your career if you want to do it in the long run. I know that's something that I saw with recent people talking about. Some of these players also contracts are like, well, their contract isn't over. There's no way they're moving. And I think, some of them are ending their contracts earlier when they're moving. But I feel like it's if they want to compete and they want to, you're doing it, you're putting your body not in jeopardy, but, you're putting a beat on your body every single day, training and practicing to be able to do this. You need to be able to take the better contract, the one that's going to keep you able to keep doing this for the longest. So I definitely understand that. I guess one question I had, with you doing that, going over to Latitude, was there when you first switched over, how long did it take you to learn those discs? Because I think this is going to be something we're going to see this next season. If these are top players that are switching over to new companies, we just saw James Conrad move over to MVP and he won a world championship. Do you think there's that much challenge to switching, or do you think every company, has 5 standard discs that have different names and, pretty much do the same thing?
I believe 100% that all companies have discs that will work. You wouldn't want to try to throw a fuse where there's water on the right hand side. It's 350 where you got to throw it hard. So it's you use a disc for the proper application, and every company has discs that will work for you. I'm pretty sure of that. Any professional disc golfer could change companies, I feel like, and do really well. I actually, when I switched over to Latitude, I received a box of discs from Dave Feldberg, and he sent me 12 discs, and I went and played a tournament with those 12 discs, and I actually won the tournament. So, and I received those discs on a Wednesday, and I played in the tournament, a Saturday and Sunday tournament, and won the tournament. So, like I said, any professional disc golf could throw any company's disc. I promise you that. And that's how James Conrad won the Worlds, because he's a good player and he hit the most incredible shot ever witnessed by any human.
Yeah, I mean, there literally will not be a greater disc golf shot. I can go on for a whole episode about how that shot is literally the best disc golf shot of all time. Context, the meaning, all of that stuff. Incredible. And it's interesting because Paul Macbeth is, not to continue to draw his name in, but also he was the exact same thing. He left Innova, went to Discraft, won a world championship. We then see the next time there's a world championship, James do the same thing. I would not be surprised if Ricky wins the world championship this year, coming back to the Trilogy family. Just, I don't know, something that's really interesting to me. But Johnny, you've been a guy who has won so many tournaments, has had so much success in your career. What would you say your secret to the sauce, to the victories, to your game? What is your secret that not everybody else has?
I think it's an internal drive in myself, to be honest with you. I play with friends all the time, and they can throw the shots that I throw and make the putts that I make and make even better putts sometimes. But sometimes when that horn goes off, I have friends that it's like the wheels fall off and all of a sudden they can't play disc golf as good. And then when the horn goes off, it's like a bell on to me. It's like turn the ring on when Mike Tyson comes on. It's time to go, and that's pretty much the way I am. When that horn goes off and stuff, I'm ready to play. When it's time to play, I'm trying to do the best I can. And I've always had an attacking type of attitude. Even though I played defense in soccer and stuff, I would still get into the attack and stuff. My dad always taught me to attack. That's the way, what he always wanted to see me as a player, young player in any sport. He wanted me to attack, and that's what he always taught me, and always taught me how to do, was to attack. And that's the way I play. That's the way I do it. It's hard for me to lay up a lot of times. My wife actually calls me cat layup.
Do you think that that's something that has helped or hurt your career in the long run?
What, not laying up?
Playing aggressive.
I would say it might have hurt. It definitely hurt me once, but I would say never, none other time. And I'm still going to be aggressive. So it's not going to change.
And when you're talking about aggressive disc golf, what does that look like?
That means like fully going after every shot that you can go after. If I can do it, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter if the percentage is there, great percentage to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. Because if I can do it, it's like at Waco, hole 18 at Waco. It's you got to throw across that water like 500 foot, right? And my buddy that I go and stay with, Charlie, he tells me, he goes, I laid up one time. He was watching. He goes, "Why'd you lay up?" And I said, I don't know. I felt like the wind was a little tough in my face. And he goes, if I could throw across there, I would every morning before I went to work, I'd call my friends to come watch me do it. So he kind of, he's like, we're the same age. He's kind of like the same. So yeah, I feel the same way. When I go out with my friends, I try to throw good shots. It's almost like you would think of Simon. I'm actually doing that kind of thing for the most part.
Yeah,
it's just not as drastic as Simon's because he's throwing it 200, 300 feet past me.
I love Simon. I feel like he's one of the treasures of disc golf. I feel like once in 20 years or whatever, once he's not playing at the top level or whatnot, I feel like we're gonna miss players like him. Hopefully, some of these new players can't. Someone else can take his place. I feel like new players are very competitive. I feel like Calvin is very serious, but he also likes to have fun for sure. But Simon is definitely one. You can tell he does it for the love, for the fun. And even without his injuries, it's fun to see him compete. And I feel like we need to see that more at the top level.
Yep. It's good to see more people out there getting on the videos and stuff. That's what we need. I feel like that's one of the things that's important is getting more people out there, getting more people seen. That's going to just keep building the game and everything for everyone.
Yeah, can't agree more. And if you agree with that statement, go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button right now to this podcast so you never miss another interview, never miss any more tips or tricks or whatever we got going on as well. I'm going to do the plug again. If you're listening on Spotify, that 5-star rating is very clutch. It just came out. Ratings just came out. So we would very much appreciate a 5-star rating. If you're enjoying this interview with JohnE McCray, definitely make sure you drop that 5-star rating. We would be very appreciative of that. So Johnny, let's kind of move forward here. This is the last, well, I guess we're recording this in 2021. So this is actually going to be the first episode of 2022 for the Chain Clankers. Let's talk about New Year resolutions, New Year goals. What is your goal for 2022?
Be and beat the best. And that's always been my goal, and that's why I still play open is because I still want to beat the best. And you're not going to beat the best playing in the 50-year-old division because they're not playing in that division.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. I think disc golf is one of those sports. There's other sports definitely. You get to an age where you can't really compete with the 20-year-olds or whatnot. But I feel like disc golf, if you have the skill, if you're able to stay fit and stay healthy, there's no reason why you need to be playing up in those those levels. And I respect you so much for that. I really, really do. For playing an open as opposed to because you could probably go to those divisions and kick butt. But I mean, I feel like it takes guts and it takes to compete with these guys who are throwing like crazy. But it's making you stay hungry. But not many people could do it. So I really, really do respect you for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's always been something that I've always strived to do is try to be. As a kid, I always wanted to be a professional athlete. I almost got there in soccer. I was playing semi-pro indoor soccer for a while, and then too many injuries. It's always been a goal, and it's always been my goal to try to be able to compete when I got to 50. And this year I'll be turning 50. 2022 I'll be turning 50, and so yeah, I still want to. I know I'm going to go out there and at least have one extremely good tournament next year. So hopefully it'll be one of the ones that's on ESPN. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm working hard to make that happen. So
yeah. And, just great. Talking about that, I would say you had a pretty gosh darn good 2021, finishing 18th at the USDGC. feel like that's incredible, and not a whole lot of guys at the age that you're at are going to be able to do the same things that you're doing. And so it's one of those things where, a lot of these other guests that we've had on say, hey, I'm throwing every single day, I'm putting every single day. What is your kind of routine through the season or even in the off season to keep up with these guys?
Yeah, so I try to practice putting just like they do, and I work on driving, go to the field, work on driving, throwing consistent shots to learn, keep my discs, nice and tight and knowing what they're going to do. And so that's, for me, that's what it's about, is knowing what you're going to do. I'm not going to do what Paul's doing. I'm not going to do what Simon's doing or Garrett or James Conrad. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to try to do what I do good. So that's what I practice on, and I focus on myself and not trying to do things that I'm not versed in. I'm a old school player, obviously. I don't throw a lot of flicks, but I'm working on my flick a little bit to try to get it better. You got to start small, work it longer. It's getting better. I'm getting it a lot more control on it, and I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with it. You see me out when I'm playing and stuff, I'm throwing a lot more forehand. So that's kind of good for me. And but that's probably one of the things I need to continue working on, trying to get a little bit better forehand, which could certainly help.
Yeah, I feel like definitely, you're seeing that in the new era disc golf, where it could be a top player, or these new guys, like, you have to have a sidearm. A lot of these new guys, they like just naturally, like Eagle McMahon, or Kyle Klein has a really good one too. Kevin Jones, they just, they can throw backhand, 500, 600, if they really want to, but they can also throw a flick 400, 500 feet if they need to. I guess, what are some of the things that you're learning or helping you that have helped you develop that flick?
Main thing is, if I was I was a backhand. I'm still am a backhand dominant player, but I've been playing for, this will be my start of my 20. I guess I'm starting my 20. Would it be 27th year? So forever I threw a forehand wrong. I wasn't squaring up to the tee pad. I was trying to throw like I was throwing a backhand, where you're sideways to the tee pad. And so I'm trying to throw across my body like this for 20 years. And then I finally figured out, somebody told me, you need to straighten, square up more to where you're throwing, and throw it out in front of you like this. So I watched some videos and stuff. And then another thing that I did wrong forever, which is something you want to break yourself of it right away, is you got to get your palm down when you're throwing forehands. And that's my problem, is I want to roll my wrist. So I end up throwing really overstable discs to throw forehands. And that's not probably the best way to do it. Keep your palm down, practice that. Still hard for me to do. It's weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot more people would rather work on their backhand than their forehand, but definitely that development of the forehand is crucial. And something I'm interested to know a little bit more about is, you said you're going into your 27th season. You're still out there learning your discs and trying to get better. And so something that kind of just we hear all the time is, you want to get out to the field, you want to learn your discs, you want to know how they fly. Has there ever been a point where you're like, I know that this disc is going to do this every single time I throw it this way? And then is that kind of the moment where you're like, okay, now I'm going to move on to the next disc and learn it until I know it's going to do this every single time I throw it? Then I'll go to the next disc. Like, how do you kind of go through that process, I guess?
Yeah, I like, each time I go out to the field, I take a different disc with me. So like, this week I'll take out some shields, my putters. Next week I'll take out fuses. The week after that I'll take out warships, and then I'll take verdicts the week after that, and then St. Pros. So it's cycling through, and then I'll go back through the same cycle, because just freshening up never hurts, you know what I mean? But feeling consistent in the knowing that what you're getting out of it. Yes, that's what you're going to get with practicing like that, is knowing that that disc is going to do that on that release every time. That's why you throw 10 of the same disc at the same time every time. And I found out 10 is a great number, because you try to throw 15, 20 discs at once at one time, you start pulling ribs and stuff like that. Not fun. So you can get away with really throwing 10 discs and then go collect them, walk over there, collect them up, throw another 10. You can get what your body can handle that. 20, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, I feel like 10 is enough. 20, you're not really learning enough about those specific. 10's a good, you can focus and learn. And you can, the time between throwing is less, as opposed to, 20, you maybe forgot what you did or what it did on the last throw. So 10, you can kind of remember what you need to adjust or fix or whatnot. But, I think we have talked quite a bit, about, form and other good techniques and all this stuff. Let's get this going. Tell us about your hot take. We want to hear what you have. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm not really a hot take kind of guy, but this is what I got. I think tournaments nowadays are way more unathletic as they used to be back in the day. We played 4 rounds, 2 days, and then went to work the next day. Nowadays, tournaments are 1 round a day, and 3 rounds is seems like a big tournament. To me, it just seems less athletic. Back in the day, when you could tell that people that didn't train as much, because the 4th round of a tournament, they were really falling off. You know what I mean? So you had to be trained to be able to make it through 4 rounds in 2 days. Now it's definitely, to me, I feel like it's less athletic.
Yeah, I can see that. I also feel like, I don't know, my day would be boring. Like if I'm the guy who's on the 1-2 p.m. card, like I have to waste my whole morning not doing anything, just kind of going stir crazy about the tournament, and then play my round, and then eat dinner and go to bed, and then do it again tomorrow. Where, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes you're like, if you're hot, if you're shooting the course record and you get 2 rounds of that, instead of then maybe the next day you're not doing so hot. I mean, you can build up a lead pretty quickly. So I don't know. That's pretty interesting. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I think I like what you said there, though, about only having the 1 round or 2 rounds and having a hot round. That's the way it is too. It's back in the day, you had to play 2 rounds on Saturday and then 2 rounds on Sunday. And it was, I don't know, it was a different. I feel like the vibe nowadays at tournaments is definitely a little different than it used to be, 10, 15 years ago too. It was the vibe 10, 15 years ago was more people hanging out, enjoying the town and the atmosphere that you were at. If there was a tournament hotel, everybody was there. Everybody was there enjoying either and throwing in the parking lots and at the pool, all that. And now it's like you can hardly find anybody, even in the town with 100 people, disc golfers. You can hardly find them.
Do you think? I mean, that's part due to how many more disc golfers there are now, and how many people are in a tournament versus back then, the number of people that were playing in a tournament.
No, I think that there was definitely more people around back then, and there was less people. So, it was everybody played together, the AMs, the pros. So you met a lot of people, you hung out with everybody. And nowadays, I hardly ever see the AMs except for when I'm back at home. And so I hardly ever see the AMs when I'm out of there on the pro, because we're playing pro events and there's no AMs there. AMs there watching. I don't get to hang out with. I don't ever, hardly ever do you hang out with the players anymore like that. I feel like there's definitely more players now, but it's more everybody's. There's hardly ever. Do you ever see a tournament hotel too much anymore? Not too much. And that's what I mean. It's like everybody gathered together, and we'd go to dinner and there'd be, 60, 100 disc golfers in there taking over the whole restaurant pretty much. Yeah, it's a lot different now.
Yeah, I feel outside of the DDO, There's really nothing like that. I mean, they really pride themselves on, hey, like the day before everyone's going to get together, and then every night there's going to be an event, and then the day after there's going to be an event. So like, I kind of get what you're putting down here. I kind of get that. That would be pretty cool if there were more events like the Dynamic Disc Open where they have the extracurriculars, and maybe there is, and we're just not as close, so we don't see it. But I feel like they're the ones who definitely do the best job of marketing that for sure.
Yeah, Dynamic does a great job of at the Dynamic Disc Open. They do a lot of things, have a lot of events for the players at night and stuff. And what you were saying earlier about waiting until 2:30 in the afternoon, that's exactly what I want to be, is being that last card. But it is hard when you're up there in that last card because you're waiting all day to get out there. People are out there in your division playing already, and you're waiting. It's definitely, I'm very impatient too. So it's tough. You got to try to find something to do. Keep your mind off it.
Just real quick while we're on that, one thing that I saw this season, and it was very stuck out to me, was, FPO, they were constantly playing, those later cards, and sometimes they were finishing in the dark. Do you think that there's any way that can be fixed? Do they need to be playing different courses, different schedule, I guess, taking what could be done to where, the FPO is playing at a regular time and, they're not having a hard time seeing, finishing on the last few holes?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, just like everything, you know what I mean? The Pro Tour, it's kind of separated from the Masters divisions and all that. And it's just the pros. It's eventually going to have to probably work out to where there's so many pro men and pro women that they're going to have to separate the two tours possibly. And it's actually going to be better for both tours if that possibly happens, because at that point, there'll be so many women that they're going to have to separate, like you said, because, they don't want to be playing in the dark, obviously. So, if they have enough women, imagine if they have 100 pro women, right? That's going to be awesome. So hopefully it's getting there, though. I'm telling you, it's getting there. Disc golf is amazing and a great sport and so much fun. It can't not get there. So it's going to get there, and it's great for the game. It's going to be great for the women. It's going to build them just like we're following right in ball golf steps. And that's exactly what happened. Pro women and the pro masters in ball golf as well, is they got separated from the pros, and that's the way it is. That's the way it's going to probably end up being in the future. So let's all prepare ourselves for that.
Yeah. And I think
I'll be 70 years old still playing an open.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised with your track record, your history so far. I would not be surprised at all. And I think you're right. And I also think, last thing I'll say on the subject, I think introducing the cut line is going to be something that's very important for disc golf in general. I mean, if you have these I think every Pro Tour event should be 4 rounds, and B, after the second round, there should be some sort of a cut line where, let's take last cash plus 10. You get to continue to round 3 and 4. And I think that also helps a little bit then, because you're not trying to jam everybody in together on this course on the same final days. You can have those lead dogs going at 11 instead of at 2. And, everyone gets to get their fair shake at the course. But yeah. Last thing I'll say on that. Horatio, get us into the ace round for those newer listeners. What is the ace round? And hit us with the first question.
Yep. So these are just the same 5 questions we ask every single person we have on, just to try to get different views and insights from every person that comes on the show. The first question we have is, you're taking a new player who wants to get their own set of discs to go out and play on their own. What one putter, mid, and driver would you recommend them get?
Oh, I would definitely give them a pure for a putter, because you could get it to go left, right, straight putter and putting putter. And I would give them a fuse, because that's real easy disc to throw. Beginner or seasoned veteran, very easy to throw straight, very almost liddish. So great disc to throw. And for a driver, I would try to, I feel like drivers are tough for any beginner to throw, but I would go with something really understable, like a Fury or a Renegade, something like that. Not a high speed driver, more like a 7, 8, 9 speed or something understable.
Yeah, those are some really good choices. I definitely been somebody who wants to try out the Fuse for sure. Second question we have for you: what is the favorite course you have played, and one course you would love to play in the future that you have not played yet?
Okay, so one of my favorite courses is Madisonville, Kentucky, Mar Park. One of the most beautiful parks out there, and it's a championship style course, up and down hills and par fours and fives, and it's really awesome. It's kind of hidden out there in Kentucky, but it's a gem, and it's designed by H.B. Clark, and he's designed a lot of good courses actually. So I kind of like a lot of his courses. And a course that I'd like to play would be Wesley Chapel District Park.
All right, next question we got for you here is, what is one tip you would give to yourself when you just started playing disc golf?
Oh, we already talked about this, but I would say practice sidearm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I practiced everything else.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. So fourth question we got for you: what is your favorite memory playing disc golf?
Oh, so many. I'd say still one of my most memorable wins. It wasn't even the World Championship, but the one that always pops in my mind. It was my wife's birthday, and it was Gainesville, Florida, at Northside Park, Gator Country Classic, and this was in 2003. So some of these guys that are real good now are just kids. And like they're not even out of junior high or something. And Ken Climo and Barry Schultz were the best players in the world at that time. And they were amazing players. They were untouchable. And coming to the third round of the tournament on Sunday morning, I shot the course record to catch up like 4 strokes on them. And I was like 2 strokes going into behind them. Kenny and Barry were tied or something like that. They might have been 1 stroke apart going into the last round, and come down to hole 17. I was never in the lead. Hole 17, I birdied it, and it was a 3-way tie going into the 72nd hole. And I was the only one. It's like a 650-foot hole. I was the only one to 3 it. Won the tournament on the last hole. It was absolutely magical. It almost brings a tear to my eye right now. And it was just something that I'll never forget. It was a special moment.
Yeah, it sounds those memories are like why disc golf is so good. This isn't the next question, but I'm just curious because you've seen both play. You said King Climo was at the top. He was the best player in the world, and JohnE McCray, the best player in the world. At their peak, at their best in a tournament, where they're at their best, who wins?
I would say probably Paul right now for sure. I would say. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I didn't really know Kenny when he was at his best, I'd say. So I couldn't really say that. I didn't start playing until he was like 6-time world champion.
Okay.
So
I mean, he had 6 more after
he had
that.
6 more.
Yeah, come on.
Right.
I mean, we all know the right answer is Paul in the first place, but
Well, I mean, he's definitely the most skilled and best player that's ever walked the planet. I would agree with that. But I mean, Kenny's the most decorated, without a doubt.
For sure.
If
Paul
numbers
even gets to 8, I would be surprised.
I mean, he definitely could. I mean, he's amazing, absolutely amazing. The guy pushes himself. He works hard. He's a hard worker. So yeah, I mean, I don't expect to see him falling from the top anytime soon. I mean, if I can do pretty darn good at age 50, he's going to be doing good for a long time.
Yeah, I would say he definitely has probably, it's something you can't argue. He has a lot more competition than Ken did when he was, during his reign, I would say. But that's just kind of for fun. I just wanted to see. But the final question we have is, what is the biggest mistake you see players make?
That new players make?
Yes.
You see it all the time. An amateur wants to make every shot from the tee pad, from the bushes, from halfway down the fairway. He wants to throw it in the basket, and that's not golfing. That's trying to be a hero or what have you. There's a difference between playing aggressive off the tee and trying to make every shot. You can't give away strokes in the pro division by running 200-foot shots 50 feet past it. So that's what I see a lot of beginners, amateurs do, is they go for everything. They want to make everything. But in reality, a pro is not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Not one that we have heard in quite a while, if at all. Johnny, this was a fantastic episode. Had such a blast learning from you and learning about you. Where can people continue to learn from you and about you? Where can they connect with you on social media?
JohnEMcCrayTour.com. I have that website. It's got a bunch of good instructional videos on there, so go check those out. Lots of good stuff. And on Instagram, you can check me out on there, and Facebook. I'm also there, so you can connect with me there. I do a lot of private clinics, do group clinics. I'm doing this good group clinic thing now where I do a clinic and serve lunch in between the driving and the putting portion, which I'm kind of excited about. That it's kind of like, then I can sit down and we can all talk about things as we're eating, and then we go to move on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I probably put on more clinics than most players have. So it's another thing that I love doing is teaching disc golf. So it's a great thing. It's fun. And I'll talk more when I'm teaching disc golf than I will any other time. So, because I just love it.
That's awesome, and we're very excited, not to say, but, some of the people that we've had on the podcast before, a week or so or a couple weeks later, they've gone on to do really well and just kind of do well in tournaments. So we're hoping and pushing that energy towards you too for this next season. And, we want to see you on that Joe Mass coverage this upcoming season. We want to see you, competing for, one of those big tournaments. And, that would be so cool to see. And, you can do it, you got that aggression, you got that energy.
Get a little subscribe to Chain Clankers out there or something, so I can make something happen.
That'd be awesome. With that, we wish you the best, and we think you can do it, and we'll wait for it. You got it in you.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna give it all I got. So I'm pushing hard, and we're gonna make something happen. I'm gonna get up there at least once. I promise you.
Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers, and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.